Imagine standing in the middle of a desert where the wind never stops screaming. No trees, no water, just endless sand swallowing everything in its path. A place so lifeless that even hope feels like a mistake. Now imagine this same desert slowly turning green, grass pushing through sand, trees standing tall against the wind, animals returning, people coming back. And at the center of this impossible transformation were millions of rabbits. Yes, rabbits, not machines, not magic technology, not a miracle from the sky. Small, soft, ordinary rabbits released on purpose by China into one of the most dangerous deserts on Earth. At first, people laughed. Some were confused, others called it madness. But what happened next shocked scientists, governments, and environmental experts around the world. Because this wasn't just a strange experiment, it was a desperate gamble to save dying land. And the results rewrote everything we thought we knew about nature. But before we reach that moment, we need to understand how bad things really were and why China was running out of time. The desert we're talking about is called the Kubuki Desert, located in Inner Mongolia. For decades, this desert wasn't just sitting quietly, it was expanding fast. Every single year, hundreds of thousands of acres of fertile land were disappearing. Villages were buried under sandstorms, farms collapsed, families were forced to leave their homes behind. People who once lived off the land suddenly had nothing. No crops, no income, no future. The desert didn't care who you were. It swallowed everything equally. By the middle of the 20th century, Kubuki was being called a sea of death. Sandstorms from this region didn't stop at local villages. They traveled hundreds of miles, choking cities and disrupting life far away. China tried everything. They built barriers, they planted trees, they launched expensive government projects, but the wind was stronger, the sand was smarter, and nature refused to be controlled so easily. Each failed attempt left people more hopeless than before. Then came a man who refused to accept defeat. His idea didn't sound heroic, it didn't sound scientific, and it definitely didn't sound safe. People thought he had lost his mind. Instead of fighting the desert head-on, he wanted to work with it. He started planting willow trees, not because they were beautiful, but because they were stubborn. Willow roots could dig deep, sometimes hundreds of feet, searching for water where nothing else could survive. But there was a problem. Young willow trees needed care. They grew fast, producing thin branches that had to be cut constantly to make the main trunk stronger. In a desert, this kind of maintenance was nearly impossible, too expensive, too slow, too risky. Just when it seemed like this idea would fail like all the others, here's where the story takes a turn nobody expected. Someone asked a simple question. What if the work could be done naturally? What if animals could do what humans couldn't? That's when rabbits entered the story. Not just any rabbits, a special breed known for two things, their appetite and their reproduction. Rabbits love young branches. They eat constantly, and they multiply faster than almost any other animal. Instead of cutting the willow branches by hand, the rabbits did it themselves, every day without rest. As they ate the new shoots, the trees grew thicker and stronger. But that was just the beginning, because rabbits don't just eat, they fertilize. Their waste turned dry sand into nutrient-rich soil. Seeds passed through their bodies untouched, planting new grass wherever they went. Slowly, something unbelievable began to happen. The sand stopped moving. The roots of the willows locked it in place. Moisture stayed trapped beneath the surface. The wind lost its power. Grass began to grow, then more grass, then insects, then birds. Life returned, step by step. What nobody expected was how fast everything changed. The rabbits reproduced rapidly, creating a self-sustaining system. More rabbits meant more fertilizer. More fertilizer meant stronger soil. Stronger soil meant more plants. And suddenly, what was once a dead desert began feeding people. Farmers returned, vegetables grew where sand once ruled, local families found jobs raising rabbits, selling fur, and supplying industries. The desert wasn't just surviving anymore, it was making people rich. Entire villages were rebuilt. Children who once fled the area now had schools, homes had electricity, roads connected places that were once isolated. The government took notice. What started as a small experiment turned into a national project. Millions of rabbits were distributed to local households. Every family became part of the solution. Nature, economy, and human life finally moved in the same direction. But here's the twist. Rabbits are considered one of the most destructive animals in other parts of the world. In Australia, rabbits are a nightmare. They destroy crops, kill native plants, and push ecosystems to collapse. So why were rabbits a blessing in China, but a disaster elsewhere? The answer lies in control. In Australia, rabbits live wild, unchecked, and uncontrolled. They spread without limits. In China, rabbits were managed carefully. Their numbers were monitored. Their environment was designed. They weren't allowed to take over. They were guided. And that made all the difference. As the years passed, satellite images showed something impossible. Over 1/3 of the Kubuki Desert had turned green. What was once a sea of death became an ecological miracle. But the story didn't stop there. China went even further. They built one of the largest solar power installations in the world right inside the desert. The solar panels reduced evaporation, blocked harsh sunlight, and protected young plants. And yes, rabbits were placed there too. They grazed beneath the panels, fertilizing the land, keeping grass healthy. The desert was now producing energy, food, income, and life, all at once. Scientists from around the world came to study this model. They called it an eco-economic revolution, a system where nature and humans didn't fight, they cooperated. Today, millions of people's lives have changed because of this experiment. The same land that once forced people to escape now gives them a future. And it all started with one question. What if the smallest creature could solve the biggest problem? This story isn't really about rabbits. It's about perspective, about understanding that destruction isn't always stopped with force. Sometimes it's stopped with patience. The Kubuki Desert teaches us a powerful lesson. When humans stop trying to dominate nature and start listening to it, even the dead can come back to life. And maybe, just maybe, the solutions to our biggest problems are already around us, quietly waiting to be used the right way.